Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It is the live game review, Tottenham Hotspur 5, Everton 0 on Monday night. I apologise that this review is a couple of days late. I've taken the last couple of days to try and muster up the energy and the motivation to sit down and talk about what was an absolute shit show of a performance, wasn't it? Let's be honest, there's no point in sugarcoating it. There's no point in sitting here and trying to beat round the bush or trying to be polite about it. It was an absolute shit show of a performance. If you see me instant match reaction, if you see my player ratings or any of my tweets during Monday night, you will have known that me and Ned made the journey down to London. 12 o'clock we left Kirby because we had to drive to Kirby in order to get the coach. But 12 o'clock, half 12, something like that, Monday afternoon, we left Kirby on our travels down to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We didn't get there until 20 past 7, so just 40 minutes short of kickoff. I think we got, by the time we got in the stadium and got to our seats, it was something like 7:45. And we didn't actually get back until 20 past 4. I think we arrived back at Kirby in the morning, and I'm not complaining about it. Before anybody says it's your choice, you decide to go to away games, you choose. I'm not complaining about it, to be honest, barring the 90 minutes from 8 o'clock until 9:30. I actually had a really, really good day out. I love going to watch Everton away. I had a boss day with Ned, but 20 past 4 in the morning we got back. That's a 17-hour day. And the game was over in 17 minutes. Quite apt, really, isn't it? 17 hours for 17 minutes. This club is just an absolute disaster. And these players are an absolute disgrace. An absolute disgrace. And do you know why? It's not because we lost the game. Because I went up to Tottenham fully expecting Everton to lose because we're shite away from home. They're a good side. They've got some good attacking players, as we're on show. And they're in a much better position than what we are, and they're a much better footballing team than what we are. So losing the game of football isn't the end of the world. Losing the game of football wasn't the reason as to why I was so pissed off on Monday night or Tuesday morning, or why I've taken 2 or 3 days to actually muster up the motivation to sit down and talk about this game again. It wasn't because we lost the game of football, because, that's football. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and Everton away from home this season have been dreadful, so more often than not we lose. It was the fact that, once again, we saw another display from these players which just screamed gutless, shithouse, can't be arsed anymore. We were doing okay for the opening 10 or 15 minutes. We were moving the ball well. We were the team in possession. Okay, we weren't creating a plethora of opportunities, and I wouldn't say we were particularly dominant in the game. I'd say we were on top in terms of the possession and in terms of the team that looked the more likely to create an opportunity. But obviously, again, I'm not going to sit here and say we were absolutely battering Tottenham, because we didn't create any chances. But we were comfortable. We looked confident. We were moving the ball well. We were dealing with their pressure. And then one mistake by two mistakes, really. The first by Seamus Coleman, who shouldn't be playing for Everton. Let's be honest. I put sentiment to one side at the moment. I love the fella. I know it's not his fault. I know he's been a great servant. I know he's been a great captain. But he shouldn't be starting games of football for Everton. That's the be-all and end-all of the situation. No matter how good he used to be, no matter how long he's been here, no matter how much he means to the football club, and it isn't his fault because he isn't picking himself. He's just turning up and doing a job, or trying to do a job when he's being picked. And Seamus Coleman isn't the type of player to ever turn around and go, no, I don't want to play today because I don't think I'm good enough. He'll always put the shades on and he'll always give it 100%, and that deserves, a lot of respect. But he isn't good enough, and he shouldn't be starting games of football for Everton. I would have had Nathan Patterson in there on Monday night over Seamus Coleman for one reason. Is Nathan Patterson a better defender than Seamus Coleman? But maybe not. Maybe not. Who knows? Is he as experienced? No. Is he as settled in the football club? No. But you know what he is? He's quicker than Seamus Coleman. And you know, when you've got young wingers that are really, really quick, running at a 30-odd-year-old Seamus Coleman who can't run, he's going to get turned inside out for 90 plus minutes, and that's exactly what happened. He made about 10 massive mistakes. First being allowing that cross to come into the box for the first goal. He gave the ball away for 2 or 3 of the goals, I think. All on the basis that he didn't have enough pace to keep up with the game. And that at the very least is what Nathan Patterson would have had. Would Nathan Patterson have allowed that cross to come into the box on Monday? I don't think he would have, because I think he'd have kept up with Sessegnon, and I think he'd have put a lot more pressure on the ball, and he'd have made it a lot more difficult. But one ball comes into the box. Michael Keane again is it just doesn't know where he is. Now I had a conversation on Toffee TV in the final word about this goal, and when you actually see the stills of it, before Michael Keane gets contact with the ball, Harry Kane is nowhere to be seen. Me mouse has just lost connection there for some reason. Harry Kane, the ball's past Harry Kane. By the time Michael Keane, gets a foot on it, it's gone past Harry Kane. He's out the equation, and Michael Keane effectively could just stop, allow it to go across his body, and allow it out for a throw in or for one of the other defenders to deal with. Now, I've seen a couple of people in the comments when we mentioned those saying, a defender can't let a ball go across his body, and I understand that, I get that completely. The reality of the situation was, had he have looked over his shoulder a little bit, he'd have understood that there was no Tottenham player behind him other than Kuleveski, who I think John Joe Kenny was marking, and that Harry Kane. And then if he'd turned back around, he'd have noticed Harry Kane was getting nowhere near the ball. But no, what does he do? He sticks a stupid foot out at it. And if you're going to stick a foot out at it, fine. If I've seen a lot of people saying, a defender can't let a ball run across his body. Fine, stick a foot out on it. But angle your body, angle your foot, so that you know that when you stick that foot out, it's going to go into the stand, or it's going to go away from the goal. Don't angle your body to the point that when you stick that foot out, it's going to fucking rifle into the top corner. That's just amateur defending. We're talking about a centre-half who's been a Premier League centre-half for the last 7, 8, 9 years. Whatever it was. When did he first join Burnley? I don't know, 2013, something like that. 2014. He began his career as a reserve player in 2012. Joined Burnley on loan first in 2014-15 and then signed for them. So he's been a Premier League player for 8 years, Michael Keane. And he still doesn't understand how to angle his body defensively. And then from that point on, this is the reason why I was so pissed off. This is the reason why my patience is really, really wearing thin with this football club at the moment, is because you go 1-0 down to a silly own goal, to a goal that, again, was probably slightly undeserving of Tottenham because they didn't really create much. It was a simple ball into the box, and Michael Keane turned it into his own goal. And instead of getting their heads up and thinking, do you know what, we're still in this game, it's only 1-0, it's early on, we've conceded a silly goal, let's get a bit of confidence going, let's get let's get ourselves back into this, let's start controlling the ball again. What's the first thing you should do when you don't concede, when you concede? What's the biggest thing they teach you as a child, as a small child? If you've ever played football as a kid, one of the first things they'll teach you as a defender is if you concede, that next 5-minute, 10-minute spell after that, it's the same when you score, that next 5-10 minute spell after that, it is vitally important that you don't concede again. What do Everton do? 2 minutes later, go and concede again. And then from that point on, to be fair, I think it was from when the first goal went in, but certainly when the second goal went in, as I said, 17 minutes in, I think all of them, barring maybe Anthony Gordon, sort of just went, yeah, that's it, done and dusted now. And Tottenham didn't get out of their gear, and they beat us 5-0. And it could have been 6 or 7 if Jordan Pickford didn't make a couple of big saves. And I know he was at fault for Son's goal. It was hit directly at him, and it goes under him. But I simply refuse to sit here and have a go at Jordan Pickford for more than the 20 seconds that needs. It was a fault for the goal. He shouldn't have allowed it to go under him. It was a silly mistake. End of story. The fella has been absolutely unbelievable for a year now, a year plus. He was unbelievable in the Euros for England. He's been unbelievable for Everton. He's made one mistake. Michael Keane makes 43 mistakes every time he puts an Everton shirt on. Seamus Coleman makes 43 mistakes every time he puts a fucking Everton shirt on. Mason Holgate may as well be sat next to me because the kid doesn't know how to fucking defend. He doesn't know how to position himself. John Joe Kenny might give it 110%. He might work his bollocks off. He might care as much as anybody else, but he ain't a good defender. It's as simple as that. And yeah, the amount of people I've seen having a go at Jordan, Jordan's not good enough, we need a new goalkeeper, Jordan's this, Jordan's that. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. But as I said, the thing that pissed me off the most, absolutely pissed me off the most, was that those absolute bunch of shithouses give up. They gave up. Tottenham aren't a great team. They're a good team. They've got good attacking players. They gave up. They threw the towel in. It's as simple as that. And I won't be told otherwise. I will not be told that they gave it 110% and we were just unlucky and Tottenham were just brilliant in this. Fucking bollocks. They threw the towel in at 2-0. They couldn't be arsed. They wanted to get home. It was cold. It was dark. It was wet. But you know what? They'll have gone to a hotel after that game and stayed in a 5-star hotel with a lovely bed, and they'll have got up and they'll have probably flown home the next day, a 40-minute flight. They wouldn't have got into their houses at 4:20 in the morning, having left at 12 o'clock the previous day on a coach when the fucking M6 was shut, so they had to go all the way around the world to get home. They'll have been in a nice fancy hotel. So for them to throw the towel in after 17 minutes when there's thousands of Evertonians who have made a dreadfully, tough trip up to London on a Monday night. A Monday night, by the way, most of whom I will have had to have taken 2 days off on holiday, is a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. And, listen, Frank Lampard got it wrong. He did. We'll talk about the tactics and the team selection and the formation a little bit later on, but Frank Lampard got it wrong. It's as simple as that. He tried to play a high defensive line against two of the most potent forward players in the league, but also with an absolutely fucking embarrassing defence. Let's be honest. What he should have done, and what I think Everton have to do now in every single away game from now until the end of the season. Home games can be a little bit different because we're on top, the crowd are all for it, we play generally a lot better, in home games. But for me, in every single away game from now until the end of the season, Frank Lampard has got to have 11 men behind the ball, and the instruction, the tactic has got to be just defend for your lives. Because we've picked 6 points up away from home this season. 6 points away from home. 3 of them were against Brighton, which, okay, we played nice attacking football. We won the game comfortably. Yes, it was the 3rd game of the season or whatever it was. One against Chelsea. One against Manchester United. Both of those games, more so Chelsea than United, were very defensive. Very defensive. And effectively, the Chelsea game, Benitez threw the towel in. He threw the towel in and threw young players on there to try and make an excuse of we've had to play young players and they've been battered. And actually, the young players were fucking excellent. And that should be a lesson to Frank Lampard. Now, Frank Lampard, that defence ain't never playing for Everton again. And I'm putting in the younger lads and I'm giving the younger lads a chance to show themselves and to prove themselves. But the point is, 2 of the away games in which we've picked up points in this season have been very much 11 men behind the ball. As I said, more so Chelsea. And just getting what you can and hitting a team on the counter-attack. And that, for me, has got to be the tactic away from home now. This team is full of too many shithouses, full of too many gutless knobheads that don't care enough or aren't arsed enough to play the style that Frank Lampard wants to play home and away. So stick 11 men behind the ball and just defend. Defend. And at the very least, if you're not going to win the game, don't lose the game. Come out with a point. Because that, again, yesterday, I said it in the instant match reaction, I think, it feels like Newcastle, we all sat here and said, oh, that's the worst defeat of the season. That's the worst defeat of the season by a mile. Then we played Southampton away, and we sat here and said, that's even worse than the Newcastle performance. That was the worst performance of the season. And now we're sitting here talking about a Tottenham performance that was by far the worst performance of the season. That was worse than the derby. The derby, we got battered. We got battered by a team that are very good. On Monday, we got battered by a team that are alright, but we threw the towel in. Tottenham, as I said, didn't get out of 3rd gear. They didn't get out of 3rd gear, and they won 5-0. They had 2 or 3 other chances that Jordan Pickford saved. They had a couple of sitters, they hit the bar, and they still give up. With 20 minutes to go, they sort of just said, yeah, do you know what, we're happy with that. If they'd have gone for the jugular, if they'd have gone for a throat, that could have been 10. If that was City or Liverpool, it'd have been double figures. And we'd be sitting here now thinking, how embarrassing is that? But why are we embarrassed? Why are we embarrassed as fans? Ask yourselves this. I left that stadium on Monday night thinking, fucking hell, I don't want to bump into any Spurs fans here. I'm embarrassed that I've just watched that. I'm embarrassed that I support this football club. Why are we taking the embarrassment? Why are we adopting that embarrassment? Do you think Michael Keane's embarrassed? Do you think Seamus Coleman's embarrassed? Do you think that squad that threw the towel in after 17 minutes are embarrassed? No. All they're thinking is, fucking hell, another week of absolutely robbing a fucking living. Get me to me hotel, get me home to me nice posh house with me nice posh car and me lovely wife and lovely family tomorrow. Are they embarrassed? Ask yourself that. Did they go into Finch Farm the next day thinking, fucking hell, that was an absolute disaster, that how embarrassing was that? They might tell you they did, because they're not going to come out and go, embarrassed? Fuck off, I went home and was made up, me, I put my feet up, I watched the film, I let it get over me. Because that's the message that footballers are given, and listen, I agree with it, leave it behind, and don't get too caught up in it and all of that sort of stuff, but that was a fucking embarrassment. That was an embarrassment, and I honestly hope that on that coach home, or on that plane home the following day, or the same day, whenever it was, I hope none of them said a word to each other. Because if that was me putting in that performance, I wouldn't speak for days. I'd be thinking, what went wrong there? Did I do enough? Did I do as much as I could have? Did I work as hard? But I bet you they weren't. Bet you it was laughing. Bet you it was joking. Bet you it was, oh, this, that and the other. And then what we'll lose. We'll go out to Sky tomorrow and we'll get John Joe. Get John Joe. We'll get John Joe. You've played all right recently. You've done well. You worked hard. You're out of position. You can go and sit in front of Sky and say, that's not Everton. This isn't Everton. This is embarrassing. Well, it is Everton though, isn't it? Because that's the type of performances we put in, week out. We shit ourselves, we give up, we throw the towel in. That is as Everton gets, John Joe. That isn't a fucking anomaly. That's Everton Football Club at the moment. And it's not good enough, and it's a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. Now, we're lucky again tonight, because Leeds have been battered, Watford have been battered, and Norwich have lost. Now, I'm not even looking at Watford and Norwich, because for me, they're down. They're down. Watford and Norwich aren't competition for Everton, because I think they're going. I think it's Leeds, I think it's Brentford, I think it's Burnley and Newcastle. Newcastle are probably out of it, to be fair, at the moment, but certainly Leeds, Brentford and Burnley and Everton are the teams that are in there. So Norwich and Watford for me are gone. So don't worry about Norwich and Watford. Leeds losing tonight is a big result, because it was Jesse Marsh's first game at home, and that will knock their confidence. Watford losing, on one hand, is great because they're in a relegation battle. On another hand, they got battered 4-0 by Wolves, and we've got to play them on Sunday. And I don't want to be too ultra negative. I don't want to be too sort of, again, pessimistic. But I'm seeing a lot of people say, yeah, but we're sound at home. We're absolutely sound at home. We played very well against Manchester City, the best team in the country. We worked very hard, and we should have got something out of it. Brilliant. I agree. The other 3 games we've played at home, we played a shit Brentford team, we played a shit Leeds team, and we played a shit Bournemouth Wood, and we made that hard. What happens if Wolves, who are a genuinely good footballing team, set up well, good quality players, managed well, fighting towards a place in Europe, what if they go 1-0 up at the weekend? Now, yes, the Goodison crowd might drive the players, and it might pick the players up, and the players might, show a reaction because of the crowd and because of that, etc. That's a possibility. But what if we genuinely just lose to a better team at the weekend? What then? What can we say then? Are we going to be able to say, the home form will still keep us up? Because Wolves are a much better team than Everton. They've got much better players. They work much harder. They battle much more than we do. And Sunday is an absolute must-win. An absolute must-win. We need, for me, we need 6 points out the next 2 games. We've got Wolves at home, we've got Newcastle at home. We need 6 points out of those 2 games. I also think a win against Newcastle would actually do more than just pick up 3 points for Everton. I think it could potentially drag Newcastle back in, because I think their heads would start to feel a little bit, oh shit, we've lost now, because they haven't lost in, 9-10 games, something like that. They've won again tonight. I think they had something like a 0.3 XG tonight, and they scored twice. So if we managed to get, to pick up the 3 points, not only is it a big 3 points for Everton, but maybe, Newcastle's heads stop a little bit, and maybe they think, oh shit, are we back in this? But for me, I've seen some people say 4 out the next 6. 4 out the next 6 will be, I'd take it now, to be honest, because of how bad we are. But it's 6 out the next 6 for me. It's absolutely got to be 6 out the next 6, and if we come out of these next 2 games with no points, which is a very big possibility by the way, then I just don't see a way back. I don't see a way back. But as I said, losing a game of football, you can lose a game and come out thinking, do you know what? That was a good performance tonight. That was a proud performance. Last week is a prime example of it. We lost to Manchester City. We were denied a blatant penalty through clear bias and clear corruption. And we deserved more out the game. And I think we all left the stadium, or everybody that was there left the stadium, and everybody that was watching at home stopped watching and felt proud of Everton because they'd put in a battle and performance. They'd worked hard, they'd fought, they'd battled, they deserved more than what they got. But we'd still lost that game of football. That was still no points. That was still a loss at the end of the day. Now look at the difference between that and Monday night. And that's because on Monday night they threw the towel in. They couldn't be arsed, they give up, they weren't interested. And they done that against a good Tottenham team, but not a great Tottenham team, let's be honest. They're not great. They're not great. If that was one of the top teams in the league against Spurs on Monday, they'd have wiped the floor with them. And now this leaves the manager with a couple of really, really big decisions to make ahead of the weekend. Now, we got it wrong for me. I'll admit it. I'm not one of these Blues that is afraid to admit it. I'll admit it. He got it wrong. He got the style wrong. He got the tactics wrong. He got the instruction to try and play against Tottenham massively wrong. As I said, for me, every away game now has to be 11 men behind the ball. Whether we like watching it or not, whether we're entertained by it or not, I couldn't give a fuck. I couldn't give a fuck if it's the most boring 90 minutes you'll ever watch. You know, if I'd have gone up to London on Monday and I'd have travelled 7.5 hours up there and 7.5 hours back, and we'd have threw that game 0-0, and it was the most boring game of footy I'd ever watched, and I was fucking bored shitless for the entirety of it, I'd have been made up. I would have snatched your hand off for it. I'd have been over the moon. Because what it was an entertaining game of football, but we got bounced, and that doesn't do anything for us. Whereas a boring, horrible to watch 0-0 does a lot for us at the moment, especially away from home. So Frank Lampard is to blame. And he does have to take responsibility for it. Ultimately, this group of players who have let down manager after manager after manager time and time again, for me, deserve more blame. And as I said, the majority of them should never wear an Everton shirt again. They will, because of injuries and fitness and the situation that we're in. But come the summer, Michael Keane, go. Mason Holgate, go. We know some fringe players who are in the squad. The likes of Delph, go. Gomez, go. Tosin will go. John Joe Kenny, I wouldn't give him a new contract. As well as he's played recently, giving him a new contract is exactly the reason as to why we give Michael Keane a new contract, because he had a good few games. No. Seamus Coleman, shouldn't be starting for Everton anymore. It's as simple as that. As I said, at the very least, Nathan Patterson will give you that bit of energy, he'll give you that bit of pace. If he gets caught, he'll have enough pace to be able to keep up with the attacker, rather than Seamus Coleman getting caught and still fucking running now to try and get back to Mark Sessegnon. It's not good enough. And as I said, the manager has now got an absolute, a massive decision, or a couple of massive decisions to make ahead of the weekend. And for me, one of them is that the entirety of the back line is changed. Now, that's a massive risk, and I don't think that Frank Lampard will do that. But if it was me going into Sunday, I would have Mikalenko at left back, Patterson at right back, Godfrey at the centre half, and next to Branthwaite. I really would, because I think Branthwaite looked 10 times the player Michael Keane did when he come on, and he's an 18-year-old kid, which tells you where Michael Keane's head's at. And Michael Keane, for himself and for Everton, can't play on Saturday. It's Sunday, simple as that. Can't play on Sunday. Mason Holgate is shite as well. Let's have it right. He's shite. Seamus Coleman shouldn't be starting for Everton. You've got a natural left-footed left back there. Now, I know there's a lot going on at the moment, and I know there's a lot going on in his personal life, but if he's in a matchday squad and he's available to play and he wants to play, then he should be in there over John Joe Kenny every day of the week, because he's a left back, and John Joe Kenny is the most right-footed right back I think you will ever see. But how likely is it Frank Lampard will make 4 changes to the back line? I don't know. I don't particularly think he fancies Patterson, to be honest with you. I think taking him off at half-time against Boreham Wood shows that. Not even having him in the matchday squad on Monday shows that. We may see Mikalenko in there. We probably will see Ben Godfrey back, and rightly so. But that performance was just sickening. It was just absolutely sickening, and I've seen a lot of people say Frank Lampard. Kev says Frank is not going to sort anything out. Cal says Frank Lampard is not who you want in your dugout in a relegation battle. Phil says not much evidence to suggest Frank Lampard will sort this defence out. It's never been a strong. But I understand all of that. I really understand all of that. But I honestly think you could get Pep Guardiola into this team and they would still shit themselves when going 1-0 down. I think you could have Jurgen Klopp in and they would still shit themselves after going 1-0 down. I think you could have the best defensive manager on the planet in and Michael Keane would still make a fucking absolute howler of a mistake and the rest of the team would still shit themselves. It's just, for me, it's just heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. It really, really is. And you know, twice now you've heard Frank Lampard come out. Can't remember which game it was. I think it might have been Southampton. And on Monday, twice he's come out and effectively said. I think on Southampton he said this word for word after Southampton. I think he said something along the similar lines on Monday. Basically, we had a plan, we had a structure, and then the players just sort of stopped doing what I told them to do. That is. You know, that's so worrying, so worrying. That Frank Lampard has been here less than 2 months, and already the players have decided upon themselves that they will stop doing what he tells them to do when something goes wrong. I think he said on Monday night that it was only Anthony Gordon that really looked like he cared. Now, how embarrassing is that? How embarrassing is it when your manager's coming out and effectively saying 10 of the 11 players on the pitch weren't really that arsed? It was only the young Scouse lad who always gives it 110%, always wants to fight, always wants to give everything, always wants to show that battle, that desire. It was only really him, that kid. How embarrassing is that for your Seamus Colemans, for your senior, your Dominic Calvert-Lewins, your Richarlison. There's nothing. I do think Richarlison cared, but it's just embarrassing. It really, really is embarrassing, and for me, I just don't know. I can't sit here. I think there's a lot of people who are really confident that we'll beat Wolves on Sunday. I'm not. Because let's not get this twisted. We are a god-fucking awful football team. We are a dreadful football team. We play dreadful football. We can't defend. The defence is full of shithouses. There's no leaders at the football club, by the way. Another thing I took real issue with John Joe Kenny's interview on Sky, not because of what he said or the contents of the interview, but you've got Alan Myers has gone into. I think it was Alan Myers who conducted the interview because he was at Finch Farm the other day. Alan Myers has gone into Finch Farm, and whether Sky have requested it or Everton have requested, whatever, somebody has requested that a senior or a first team Everton player sits down with Sky to address the defeat, to address the comments Jamie Carragher made about our defence being championship quality, which by the way is spot on. I don't like Jamie Carragher. I don't particularly like everything that he says, but Jamie Carragher coming out and saying to call that defence championship is harsh on some championship defenders is spot on. But Sky have obviously gone in and wanted to talk to a first team player. You've got Jordan Pickford there, who again, I'm not going to sit here and put too much blame on because he's been brilliant recently, but again, experienced, World Cup, semi-finalist, Euros finalist, top experienced, 30-odd-year-old goalkeeper. You've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin there, who still is young, but again, wants to be seen as sort of a leader and an experienced head. Seamus Coleman there, who's the club captain. You've got Michael Keane there, 28, 29 years old, experienced centre-half. You've got even Alan there, 30 years old, the core, Donny van der Beek. And the guy being sent out to do the interview is John Joe Kenny, who is, a 24-year-old right-back playing out of position at left-back. Where's the leadership there? Where's Seamus Coleman saying, no, I'll do the interview? It's all right, Seamus coming over at the end of the game, isn't it? And saying, we know. What you don't know, do you, Seamus? You don't know, though. That's full of shit, because if you knew, you'd change the performance. You'd change the performance if you knew. If you knew, you wouldn't go out and put shit-house performance in, week out. You'd change it. So don't come and give me this bollocks of we know, because you knew after Newcastle and you still turned up at Southampton and shit yourselves. You knew after Southampton and you still turned up at Tottenham and shit yourselves. You didn't work hard, you didn't battle, you didn't show that desire, you didn't show that resilience. And now we're sending a lad out who's out of contract in the summer, who's playing out of position and working hard and doing well, to sit in front of a camera. Is that why? Because he's working hard and doing well. Who was next on the list? Anthony Gordon. Stick anyone in front of the camera that the fans are going to go, oh yeah, but we can't have a go at him because he's doing well. No. Absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense. And yeah, this is years of bad recruitment, years of gross mismanagement at the top of the football club, from a chairman that shouldn't be here, and from an owner that is, I've said it the other day and I'll say it again, he's missed the beat, isn't he? We waited years and years and years for a billionaire owner to take us over so we can compete with the top teams, and we bring in a fucking clown who A, hasn't got a clue about football, and B, isn't willing to bring in people that do have a clue about football, and when he does bring them in, he doesn't allow them to do the fucking job. Hopefully that's changed now with Kevin Thelwell. Hopefully we see something a bit different. Hopefully we see something a bit unique with this, in that Farhad Moshiri actually lets him do a job. But it's just it's years of awful recruitment, it's years of gross mismanagement, it's years of dreadful decision making from manager, from players, from board members, and that has led us into this situation. And I said this the other day, and I said it to Ned, he's in the comments now, he says we're boss of footy. Don't know whether he's referring to me and him who've played together tonight, or Everton, but it's certainly not Everton. I said this to Ned and Baz and Ped the other day. We could survive this season. We could. Of course we could. We could survive this season on the basis that Leeds don't improve, or Burnley don't improve, or various other teams don't improve, and they go down instead. And we could be sitting here in May thinking, fucking hell, thank God for that. Thank God that we survived in this season, because that could have gone much worse. But nothing will change unless serious changes are made in the summer. And I look at Everton at the moment. I sort of think to myself, if I was a fly on the wall at a board meeting between Bill Kenwright, Farhad Moshiri, Denise Barrett-Baxendale, Graham Sharp, Grant Ingles, whoever else is in that meeting, do I believe that those people would be sitting there thinking, fucking hell, we have fucked this up massively here. We're in the shit. We're in a potential relegation battle. We've bollocks this up. We should have done this. We should have done that. We should have done that sooner. We should have done that sooner. We shouldn't have given him a contract. We shouldn't have done this. No. I genuinely think they'll be sitting there now thinking, everything's alright. Why are people moaning? It'll be alright. We'll get out of this. Frank will get us out of this. You know, all you heard from the board for the last however many months was, we'll have a better second half of the season. Don't worry about it. We had injuries. Benitez will have a boss second half of the season. Oh no, we'll sack him. Oh no, we're in a relegation battle in March. Where's this better second half of the season, Denise? Where's this better second half of the season, Bill? Where's this better second half of the season, Farhad, that we were all promised? And this is what makes me think that they aren't sitting there genuinely concerned about what's going on. I believe that a lot of them will be sitting there thinking everything is brilliant. And do you know how dangerous that is? Because that means if we do survive this season, if we do, and it's a massive if at the moment, if we do survive and manage to stay in this league this season, then if nothing changes, we'll be in the same place next season. And this time next year, we mightn't be as lucky. We might be in Norwich, who is basically sitting here saying, we're gone, we're done. Whether we stay up or we go down, big changes need to be made in the summer. At least 50% of that squad need ridden and moving on. 4 or 5 board members need fucking write-off. Ideally, Moshiri will sell the club, but he probably isn't going to do that until the stadium's here. There needs to be a shift in culture. There needs to be a shift in management. There needs to be a shift in ownership at this football club. Because unless that happens this summer, we'll be in the same place next season. Simple as that. And if nothing changes, and I don't mean we bring in a couple of fancy players or we have a brilliant, a couple of social media videos that go up. If the same people are still running the club in July or in August is what they are now, then you know, it might be worth sticking a tenner on Everton going down, because these fucking idiots haven't got a clue how to run a football club. As Remy says, good times though. Good times apparently, according to Bill Kenwright. Great times, yeah. Good times, yeah. I remember travelling down to Wembley and watching us lose in the FA Cup final to Chelsea. Great time, that great day. Wasn't sat in the stadium in tears at all. I remember losing to Liverpool in the semi-final, Man United in a semi-final. Great times. Absolutely brilliant times. Bill probably think that's a good time on Monday, because we took loads of fans to Spurs. Great times. It's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. And I really do worry for the future of this football club, and not even the short-term future. I worry for the short-term future, but I'm sort of coming to terms now that there's a real possibility that we could go down. I'm sort of telling myself that this could happen. But, you know, if we stay up, you know, if we, I don't know, let's just say, for argument's sake, it goes down to the last day and we win and Burnley lose and they go down and we stay up, I won't be going out on the ale celebrating. I won't be going out saying, oh my God, boss, that, brilliant, that. I'll be going home and thinking, firstly, thank fuck we got away with that. Because that's what it'll be this season, by the way. Make no mistake, if we stay in this league, it will be very much a, we got away with one there. It won't be a reason to celebrate. It will be a, we got away with one that X or Y or Z were much, much worse than we are, or were marginally worse than we are. And I'll be thinking, now's the time to make changes. It's as simple as that. Simple as that. Big changes need making in the summer, whether we stay up or whether we go down. If we go down, then there's absolutely no excuse to not make them. If we don't go down, for me, I still think they need to be made, because if we don't make changes, we'll be in the same position next season and the same position the season after. The performance on on Monday night. If you're enjoying, by the way, please hit that like button. 150 people watching, only 30 odd likes. If you could get the likes up, that would be amazing. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. The performance on Monday night was a direct representation of the mess that this football club is in from top to bottom, and the gross mismanagement of this football club from top to bottom. Because it's exactly that. I've said it on this channel before and I'll say it again. Business and companies, and in this type of situation, what you're seeing on the ground level, i.e. the football pitch in this situation, might be the factory floor in a warehouse. It might be the office in a company. What you're seeing on the ground level, as I said, i.e. in this situation, the football pitch, is a direct representation of what's going on at the football club. Does this football club accept mediocrity? Yes, it does, because this football club gives big bumper contracts to players that are nothing more than mediocre. Does this football club accept throwing the towel in? Well, yeah, it does, because players have thrown the towel in time and time again and are still here and are still playing. Does this football club accept players turning up and giving half-arsed efforts? Yeah, it does, because the captain has been shit for however long and is still playing week in, week out. Whether he gives it 110% or not, he shouldn't be playing. Does it accept sentiment? Yeah, it does, because Seamus Coleman is still fucking starting games of football for Everton Football Club. And all of that feeds onto what we're seeing on the pitch. Where's the leaders? There's no leaders at this football club. It's as simple as that. Whether it be on the pitch or whether it be in there's no leaders. Now, hopefully, Frank Lampard will change that side of things, because I think Frank Lampard is a leader. He knows what it's like to work in a dressing room full of leaders. That Chelsea dressing room will have been absolutely filled with them, during his time there. Ashley Cole being one of them. He's at the football club. And many members of Frank Lampard's backroom staff are leaders and will have worked with leaders. So hopefully that mentality shifts, and it will take a while because of how long we've had without leadership. It certainly will take a while. But hopefully we see that switch, over the coming months. But where's the leaders at the football club? Is Farhad Moshiri a leader? No, he isn't. Is Bill Kenwright a leader? No, he isn't. Where's the leaders on the football pitch? Is Seamus Coleman a leader? He might be a leader in terms of being a dead nice fella and leading by his temperament and the way he puts himself about. But on the football pitch, he isn't a leader. Doesn't scream at players. There's nobody running around. You're screaming at players saying, you do that, you do your job. Jordan Pickford maybe, but he's in goal, so it's difficult for him. Seamus Coleman, maybe he might scream and shout, but players will be looking around thinking, well, we've conceded 5 here and you've been at fault for 3 of them. So I'm not really going to listen to you. Nobody else on that pitch is running around picking people up, screaming. I used a comparison the other day, Virgil van Dijk, and I know people won't want me to say it because people won't want to wear it because he plays for Liverpool. Virgil van Dijk isn't Liverpool's captain, by the way. Jordan Henderson is Liverpool's captain. Yeah, if Jordan Henderson was on that pitch with the armband on, doesn't stop Virgil van Dijk screaming at other players, including Jordan Henderson. Doesn't stop Virgil van Dijk screaming when players make mistakes, or screaming at players to get into position, or to defend properly, or to attack properly. And that's because he's a leader. He is a leader. When do you see Everton players screaming at each other? When we concede, when we go down? What happens when we concede? Heads drop. It's just, oh, we've conceded again. No one's screaming, come on, get your heads up, work better. It's just, it's an acceptance. It's like, oh, conceded again, have we? Yeah. And that's why we're in this position. That's why we lose games 5-0. What can you do is what it is. But my point is that other teams across this league have got leaders. They've got players that will drag other players through games. They've got players that will face adversity and lead by example, but also lead by, talking on the pitch and by giving instruction and by bringing players up. Our team is just full of shithouses. Absolute shithouses. And I just don't know. I just don't know where we go. I really, really don't. Because I sort of look at it and think, are we? It's effectively luck, isn't it? Can anybody disagree? But by the way, and we will talk about the goals in a moment, unfortunately. But can anybody disagree with that? If Everton stay up this season, does anybody think it's anything more than just a sheer miracle, and fortune? Now, don't get me wrong, we still might go on a run and win 6, 7, 8 games, and I'm not saying that we'll stay up by luck in the terms of that it'll go to the last day of the season and we'll get a dodgy penalty and Burnley, get battered or whatever. I don't mean it'll look in that sense, but even if we win every one of our last remaining games, which we're not going to, by the way, but even if we do and Leeds and Burnley lose all of theirs, or draw whatever, I still think that we're very lucky to have stayed in this division, because I think a club that is managed as poorly as we are, with a group of players who are as gutless and spineless as these are, with no leaders, with no determination, with no desire, even if we do go on and win every one of our remaining games, I think we're extremely lucky that again, there's been a worse teams than us this season, because there's not many worse ran clubs than Everton. There isn't. It's as simple as that. Even the teams that are worse than Everton are better ran than Everton. Brentford, I'd say it's in terms of technical ability, in terms of their players, are a worse team than Everton in terms of the playing staff, but they're a better run club than Everton are. And in a couple of years, if we're not lucky, they'll overtake Everton. Exactly like we said this about Villa a couple of years ago. Well, Everton are a better team than Villa, but Villa are a better run club. Fast forward a couple of years, Villa are now a better team and a better run club. Brighton, we're having that conversation with it now as well. Various other clubs at West Ham. I remember 3 years ago we were sitting here saying we're a much better team than West Ham. Now they're fighting for the Champions League place and we're fighting to stay in the league. I don't know. I really don't know. Anyway, let's get into some of the live comments and then we will talk about some of the goals. I'm not going to go into detail on every one of the goals because, let's be honest, nobody really wants to talk about that. If you are enjoying, by the way, please hit that like button. It only takes a second to be new to the channel. Don't forget to subscribe. That would mean a massive, massive amount to me. Alfie says, evening, Cam, what's happening, mate? Haven't said all of that, by the way. If anybody knows anybody with any spare tickets to Crystal Palace, then please do get in touch with me because I'm absolutely desperate to go to Crystal Palace. So I'm after 4 tickets, but I'd understand if I can only get a couple. If anybody knows anybody with spare tickets or that can get hold of them, then please get in touch, because although I hate this football club with every fibre of my being, I also love this football club with every fibre of my being, and I am desperate to make that journey down to London again to probably watch us get beat again. So if anybody knows any information, then please let me know. Evening Cam, Evening Blue says Tez, what's happening? Empty blue shirt says Kev. Reece says can't see us beating Wolves after their game tonight. I said it the other day, mate. Far too many people are disregarding Wolves because we're at home, and we'll beat Wolves with a Goodison, and we might do. and we might do. And if we do, it would be a fantastic win, not only because we need the points, but also because Wolves are a decent team. But we can't just look at it and go, we'll beat everyone at Goodison, because we won't. There'll be teams that are just better than us. There'll be teams that are managed better than we are. There'll be teams that are, more structured than we are. And yes, we done very well against Manchester City, and I understand that, and we played very well, and Man City weren't particularly great on that day. But Boreham Wood set up to not concede, and it took us 60, 70 minutes to score against them. If Boreham Wood were a Premier League team who set up like that and had a little bit more about them and a little bit more quality, then they could have won that game. So I don't think it's a case of just we'll beat Wolves because we're at home. Wolves are a decent side, and they're capable of winning away from home, and they could show that. Back for the review, Tad, to forget about the match, but to get Zach back in, hope you're well, Cam. Well, yeah, as I said, we'll get this over and done. We will be back with the preview to the Wolves game. That'll be tomorrow, sort of afternoonish, and then we've got a Minnesota stream with Gorge tomorrow as well. I'm sorry I haven't done a midweek stream or a stream around any other information. There's not much going on surrounding Everton at the moment, other than the fact that we're shite of footy. But as I said, I've just been, I've been overwhelmed with it all at the moment, to be honest with you. It's gotten all on top of me. The performances, the results, it's all just gotten a little bit too much. And at the minute, every spare minute I've got, I'm trying to train or go to the gym or, play football or trying to just sort of, boxing or whatever it is to just try and, get myself out of this mind frame of just being bogged down with Everton. So we will get back to the sort of bi-daily streams of talking about news and information and stuff. It's just been a real tough couple of weeks. Justin says they played the same football all season. That back four is actually scary. It's dreadful, mate. It's dreadful. Even says basic. Sophie says hi, Cam. Real Madrid last night showed us aliens what footy is. Yeah. Carlo Ancelotti, eh? What a manager. Evening, folks, says Wormy. Good evening, fellow Everton sufferers, says Philip. My name is Sig, and I'm an Evertonian, says Basic. Says we are shite, seriously pissed off, lads. Ridiculous performance, and they're getting paid. Every travelling fan should be refunded. Yeah. Look after Cam, Phil. I don't know how much I'll be able to get in the streams now, says Wormy. Why, what's up, mate? Middlesbrough beat them, says Kev. Exactly. Middlesbrough beat them. Burnley beat them a couple of weeks ago as well. And we made them look like fucking prime Barcelona. Lampard can do whatever he wants at this point. The players have got to do something. They've pretty much had every style of manager, and they've gotten them all sacked except Carlos, says Falkenberg. Yes, Norwich, Leeds and Watford have all lost tonight. They have. More so happy about the Leeds result than any of the other two. Hey guys, hope everything's okay, says Dom. Sorry Seamus, but it's time to go, brother. And Carl says, honestly, the only reason I pay money to support this football club is because of my dad. It's not fun, it's just pain. There's never anything to be excited about. It's just miserable. I'm gonna jack it in. I think that's how a lot of Blues are feeling, to be honest with you, my mate. I think that's how a lot of Blues are feeling. It is just what it is, isn't it? And Kev says you've been to an away game, Can. Don't worry about the midweek YouTube videos. Thanks, mate. Yeah, to be honest with you, after Tuesday I was knocked out. Absolutely knocked out. Proper knocked out. I was in Toffee TV with Baz, Ned and Ped. And yeah, it knocked me out. Yesterday I just thought, I think I'll play football, and I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to chill, and we're here today. So yeah, let's have a little talk about the game then, because that is ultimately why we're here. I know we don't want to, and I know we've had a little rant about, performances and stuff like that, but and players and stuff, but let's have a little talk about the game. So Frank Lampard obviously lined up with the back four, which I thought was bold, considering he lined up with a back five against Boreham Wood, and considering we were away. He lined up with Jordan Pickford in goal, obviously a backline of John Joe Kenny, Seamus Coleman, Mason Holgate and Michael Keane. Just saying those four names makes me want to punch my screen. Midfield three of Donny van der Beek, Alan and Abdoulaye Doucouré. No problem with that. That's probably the midfield three that I would have picked. I then a forward line of Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison and Anthony Gordon. Damari Gray deemed not fit for the game. Dele Alli was fit to make the bench. El Ghazi made the bench. Nathan Patterson, for some reason, didn't make the bench. Don't know why. As I said, I've got this slightly strange feeling at the moment that Frank Lampard just doesn't particularly fancy Nathan Patterson for whatever reason, and I don't really understand why, because he's a young, athletic fullback. Now, yes, you could say, well, he's only young, Cam, and don't be reading too far into it, and maybe I am reading too far into it, but for him to not even be on the bench on Monday was a really bizarre decision, in my opinion. And yeah, that was the starting 11. And I think the manager got it wrong. I think we have to say that. As I said before, to line up against that Tottenham team and try and play a high line, and try and sort of catch the offside sap when you've got defenders who defend in lines like that. You've got John Joe Kenny here, who's practically sat next to me. You've got Michael Keane here. Well, actually, Michael Keane's up here because he's ran into midfield and done something. Mason Holgate here and Seamus Coleman here. You can't have an offside sap when your offside line isn't directly straight. That's the whole point of an offside sap. So we concede the first goal, as we said before. Again, Seamus Coleman doesn't stop the cross, because why would he stop a cross? He hasn't stopped the cross for about the last 6 years. And Michael Keane sticks a big boot out at it. Could he have let it go across his body? In hindsight, yes, he could. I know some people say a centre-back shouldn't let the ball go across his body. That's fine, but if he's going to get a connection on it, then you don't position yourself to the point where you know if you get a connection on it, it's going to rifle into the back of the net. And that is ultimately what Michael Keane did. He positioned himself so that if that ball touched him, it beat Jordan Pickford and made it 1-0, and that's exactly what happened. And then, as I said, instead of, after a good positive start to the game, you know, in being in control of the ball and moving the ball forward and working the ball well, instead of just picking ourselves up and going again and dusting ourselves off and going, do you know what, you know, we've conceded a silly goal, but we'll get ourselves up and we'll go again. We shit ourselves again, didn't we? A couple of minutes later, ball gets played in, Son gets played one-on-one with the keeper. Easiest goal Son will ever score. Takes a shot. Should Jordan Pickford save it? Yes, he should save it. Of course he should. But he's made one mistake in, a year, so I'm not going to sit here and have too much of a go at him. And then from that point, it was game, set, and match, wasn't it? They went on, they scored the third, Harry Kane scored it. We get to half-time. We pretty much know we're out the game. Lampard makes a change. He brings on Jared Branthwaite for Michael Keane. Michael Keane was an absolute disgrace in that first half, and yes, there might be other things going on in his private life. That may be affecting that. But if that's the case, then he shouldn't be playing for Everton. He shouldn't be playing, football for us, because he's not helping himself, and he's certainly not helping us. Branthwaite comes on, and instantly we looked better, because he was shouting at people, he was commanding, he was demanding. He's an 18-year-old kid, he's got very little Premier League experience, and he's already showing that he's more of a leader and more of a battler than a 28, 29-year-old centre-half who's been a Premier League player for 8 years. Having said that, a couple of minutes later, Seamus Coleman gives the ball away yet again. Reguilon this time puts it into the back of the net, makes it 3-0, makes it 4-0, sorry. And then, to make it 5, ball comes over the top, and Harry Kane finishes wonderfully, to be fair. Really, really nice volley. They could have had a 6th. They hit the bar with a header at one point, and as I said, Jordan Pickford made a couple of really big saves to deny them. Had they have not taken their foot off the gas, and had Jordan Pickford did not make a couple of good saves, it could have comfortably been 8-9, maybe even more, to Tottenham. Because these players just threw the towel in. Again, as I said, defensively dreadful. The line by Frank Lampard was awful. The defensive line, the tactic to stay with that, and why didn't change the tactic as well after 20 minutes when we went 2-0 down, instead of persisting with it. And I understand Frank Lampard saying we want to play nice football and this, that, and the other, and we've got to train the players into playing in this way. I get it, but the reality is these players aren't good enough. That's the reality. These players are absolutely shite. They're not good enough to play this style of football. They're not good enough to play in this way. So, asking them to do that against the potent strike force like Harry Kane and Son in a big game that we really needed to avoid losing in is just a bit silly, in my opinion, from the manager, and are certainly persisting with it when you can see we were clearly being overrun, when you could see we were clearly being outworked and outfought and outbattled. And then, as I said, he makes a couple of changes. He brings on Dele Alli, which was lovely to see, wasn't it? Great to see Dele Alli getting a standing ovation by the Tottenham crowd. The only reason they did that, by the way, is because they knew the game was over. Had the game either have been 1-0, or we'd have still been in it, or we'd have been winning, there's not a chance Dele Alli would have got the reception that he did. There's not a chance the whole of the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium would be singing his name. And listen, I'm not by any stretch of the imagination writing Dele Alli off. But why did we sign Dele Alli? Why did we sign Dele Alli? Not because he's a bad footballer, not because he won't have a good career at Everton, not because he won't be a success, but the reality is, pardon me, we are, and we're at the time when we signed him, desperately in need of a centre-half. And we've signed 2 fullbacks in this window, both of whom can't get in the team. One can't get in over a 30-odd-year-old Seamus Coleman who shouldn't be starting, and the other can't get in over John Joe Kenny at left back. And we've brought in an attacking midfielder in Dele Alli who we didn't really need, and El Ghazi who we didn't really need. Again, I'm not writing Dele Alli off, I'm not blaming him, I'm not saying that he won't be a success, I'm not saying that he won't be a good player in the future, but the reality is we could have used that money wisely, more wisely. We could have certainly, not the money that the squad faced, and I get it, Lampard only had a couple of days to make decisions and to bring players in, and I understand that, and again, I'm not writing Dele Alli off, but when you look at the areas in which we need to improve on and we need to strengthen on, it makes you scratch your head a little bit as to why we made that signing. But as I said, nice to see him getting a standing ovation by the Spurs fans, wasn't it? And yeah, we're just terrible at footy, aren't we? There's not much more I can say other than, and again, as I said, I'm sure if you spoke to a Norwich fan, they'd say we're dreadful at footy, but the players give everything. They work hard, they battle hard, they fight for the manager. Same with Brentford, same with Leeds, same with Watford. We can't say that. We genuinely sit here as Evertonians and go, we're terrible at footy, and the players don't give a shit. And that's the big thing that pisses me off. I've watched Everton teams who've been terrible at football. A lot of David Moyes' teams were terrible at football, absolutely terrible at football, but they all cared. They all give it 110%. They all battled. They all wanted to win. They showed that desire. They showed that commitment. They showed that effort. They showed that want to win, that want to be a success at this football club. This group just doesn't. Barring 1 or 2, this group doesn't. There was no service into Dominic Calvert-Lewin on Monday. I appreciate that, but he was dreadful. He was absolutely abysmal. Richarlison wasn't much better. Anthony Gordon worked hard and tried to create things happen and was the only one that didn't really give up throughout the game. As I said, the back line were just an embarrassment. An absolute embarrassment. And we somehow made a Tottenham team who don't typically like having the ball and don't score many goals put 5 past us and look really comfortable on the ball. This is a Tottenham team who don't necessarily look comfortable on the ball most weeks, and are a team that thrive on opposition having the ball. And for me, the tactic for Frank Lampard should have been 11 men behind the ball and defend and try and get a point out of it. And that for me has got to be every away game between now and the end of the season. 11 men behind. I don't care who we're playing. 11 men behind the ball and sign. Maybe Watford's a little bit different because of the importance in that game. Burnley as well. But the rest of them, 11 men behind the ball and just get what you can. Because if you can win your home games and you can get at least points out of your away games, then we'll be okay. But performing like that and trying to go toe-to-toe with even decent teams, because Tottenham aren't a brilliant team, they're a decent team. Look at how that ended up. Worrying. If that's what Tottenham can do to us, imagine what West Ham or Liverpool or whoever else we've got to play away from home would do to us if we stepped up like that. It's worrying. It really, really is worrying. And I just don't know. I just don't know where we go from here. I really, really don't. Massive game on Sunday. It goes without saying. Absolutely massive game on Sunday. And a game that we can't afford to get anything less than 3 points in. It'll be tough because Wolves are a decent side. They've won 4-0 today. Absolutely dispatched of Watford. And yeah, this is the time. What I will say before we finish, I just want to end on this. If you are enjoying, by the way, please hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to leave the video a like. If you're watching this YouTube video, comment down below. If you're watching in the live comments, get your comments in before we finish up. One thing I would say before we finish is that I've seen a couple of things on Twitter over the last 24, 48 hours or so about people questioning where other Evertonians are from and the how serious other Evertonians are if you're not from within the city of Liverpool, etc., etc. This really isn't the time for us to be divided. Really, really isn't the time for us to be divided. This is the time for us to stay together as a fan base. Doesn't matter where you're from. Doesn't matter whether you're from West Derby or whether you're from West Philadelphia. Doesn't matter whether you're from Kirby or whether you're from Kazakhstan. Doesn't matter whether you're from Walton or whether you're from, I don't know, West India. Doesn't matter where you're from. If you're an Evertonian, you love this football club as much as the rest of us do, and you bleed blue, and you're genuinely worried about the future of this football club at the moment, this is the time to come together. Wigan or West Indies, I should say. It doesn't matter where you're from, because we're all Evertonians, and the players seem divided, and the board are divided, and the club's divided. The last thing we need is us as Evertonians being divided over where somebody lives. Who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck if you travel 40 minutes from Wigan to get to the game? Who gives a fuck if you're watching in America? Astro is a massive Evertonian, absolutely brilliant fella. He watches all the way over from America. Gortz does, as the many other Blues watch from America, Australia. Cornet's been on the channel before, South Africa. There's Blues from New Zealand. There's Blues from Prague. Ned St. Helens, which is just, that's like another world. You've got people from Duncan, Liverpool, Walton, Kirkdale, South Liverpool. Who gives a fuck? We're all Evertonians, and that is all that matters. And we can't, we as a football club, we as a fan base now, it shouldn't happen anyway, but we as a fan base, certainly now, cannot afford to be divided over where people live or where people are from. If you're an Evertonian, you're an Evertonian, and you care about this football club as much as the next Evertonian does. And at the end of the day, we all need to come together and be fighting the same fight and be working in the same, working for the same, goals. Hernandez says, why would I put myself through this type of torture if I didn't love the club? Exactly, mate, exactly. We're all, and I'm sure the likes of Hernandez, Astro, Gort, I'm sure if I said to them now, would you have done that 17-hour trip on Monday to watch Everton, knowing the scoreline, they'd have all gone, yeah, because I want to watch Everton. And that's exactly why I'm desperate for a ticket against Crystal Palace. Am I mad? Yeah, I probably am a bit mad. But I'm desperate for a ticket. And if you don't want to go to away games, that's fine. If you don't want to go to home games, that's fine. We're all still Evertonians, and we all care as much as each other. And we all need to be fighting in the same direction. Because otherwise, if we're going to be divided, then Goodison will be divided. And then we may as well fuck it off. Because these players are shithouses and can't perform unless the entirety of Goodison Park is behind them. And that's what Sunday has got to be. And that's what every game is now and the rest of the season's got to be. And we've all got to remain we've all got to remain together in that. Because otherwise, again, as I said, there's big worries about the future of this football club if we don't. And I get it. Barty says, how can we come together when the people stealing and living and know they won't be here next season? That's fine, I get that, but the reality is, we don't determine that, do we? We'll be here beyond those players. We were here before those players. We'll be here after those players. We're Everton. We're the football club, not those players. And I get that it's harder to care at the moment, and as I said, it's becoming harder for me to care, but we're still here. We'll still care. We'll still be here, whatever happens at the end of the season. But as I said, we have to fight in the same direction towards the same goals, and ultimately that's Everton staying in the Premier League, isn't it? Ed says, now you won't get relegated, but only because you're better than Burnley. I wouldn't be so shocked, mate. Dosbick says, I'm from Seagate Saints Misclough. I don't even know how to pronounce that, mate. There you go. Good as fans stick together, says Drew. Wimmy says, I don't have good feelings about Palace, but with any luck, I'll be on the beach. There you go. Being a football supporter is hell, says Derek. It certainly is, pardon me. Honestly, apart from Richie, and that would be more like saving a puppy from a forest fire from poaching. I've only read half a comment there, and that's confused me. Up the Wolves says Ned, why would I put myself through this episode? Just read that one out. Yeah, live on Amazon Prime, says Drew. From NZ, New Zealand, says Colin, is right. I think New Zealand, anyway, is right, mate. So there you go. Are you happy with Richie and Gordon sacking back cam? Looked a bit like Spurs fullbacks ran the show against Everton's fullback. Yeah, I think Gordon actually made a really, really good challenge the other day, which denied a certain goal. It certainly denied a certain goal. So I think I'm more unhappy with the fact that our fullbacks aren't very good. rather than the wingers sacking back. But they do need to do that, and they do need to have their part. But for me, Lampard's got a decision to make now, and that decision for me is Mikalenko and Patterson, a fullback. It simply is. Anyway, look, we are going to finish it there then. It's 11 o'clock. I'm going to go and get myself to bed. I've got work in the morning. We will be back with the game preview tomorrow evening. Don't forget to join us for that one. And we'll have a Minnesota live stream as well to discuss with Gort, so look out for that one as well. If you have enjoyed this one, please hit that like button. Massive thank you to everybody for watching the live comments. Really do appreciate it. If you are watching as a YouTube video, leave your thoughts down below. It would mean a massive amount to me. Loads of people watching tonight, which means a massive amount to me, so thank you all so much. If you have enjoyed it, please leave a like. It only takes a second, and if you're new, then don't forget to subscribe. That would be amazing as well. But a disaster on Monday, an absolute shit show. Let's try and forget it now. Hopefully we see a reaction on Sunday, because we need one, don't we? Let's be honest. It's a win. It's a win or nothing. A win is what's most important. Calm, what's in the cup? You got a whiskey sour on the go. It's just lemonade, mate. Just lemonade, unfortunately. But big thank you all for watching. If you have enjoyed it, leave a like. Subscribe if you're new. Leave your comments in the comment section if you're watching this YouTube video. Massive thanks to everybody for getting involved in the live comments. And we'll see you soon on The Mighty Blues.